We just saw how Bahuka got generated upon the churning of the legs of King Vena. Now the sages, they continued to churn Vena's body, and particularly it is mentioned that they churned the two arms of King Vena's dead body. And then from that churning appeared two very special personalities. And the two personalities are known as King Pṛthu and Archi. So King Pṛthu is considered to be the partial expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. King Pṛthu is also understood to be a Shaktiavesh avatar. Shaktiavesh avatar generally means when one who is endowed with a particular potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this case, the ruling potency or the Palana Shakti of the Supreme Lord is invested within Pṛthu Maharaj. And likewise, Archi is an incarnation of the goddess of fortune. So these two personalities simultaneously appeared owing to the churning of the arms of King Vena. So $1 million question here to ask is, how could an avatar of Vishnu, a Shaktavesh avatar of Vishnu, appear from the sinful body of King Vena? So to understand the answer to that question, we can refer to verse number 2 purport, where Prabhupada is writing, the method adopted by the great sages and scholars who were learned in Vedic knowledge was perfect. So here is the reason. They removed all the reactions of King Vena's sinful activities by seeing that King Vena first gave birth to Bahuka, which we just learnt about. After King Vena's body was thus purified, male and female came out of it, and the great sages could understand that this was an expansion of Lord Vishnu. And therefore, the great sages, they pronounced the male is a plenary expansion of the power of Lord Vishnu, who maintains the entire universe, and the female is a plenary expansion of the goddess of fortune, who is never separated from the Lord. So two very important points that are coming from this section. First is that the Supreme Lord and his eternal consort, so Maharaj Pṛthu and Archi, they were manifested after purification. The churning went through a purification process, and the whole sin was then manifested through Bahuka. So after this, that whole sin was eliminated, after that complete purification, then the further churning process led to the generation of Pṛthu and Archi. So the first point is that there is purification that is leading to the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead along with his eternal consort. And therefore the second point is that Lakshmi and Narayan, they are inseparable. So Prabhupada points that out in the third purport, that the significance of the goddess of fortunes never being separated from the Lord is clearly mentioned herein. People in the material world are very fond of the goddess of fortune, and they want her favor in the form of riches. They should know, however, that the goddess of fortune is inseparable from Lord Vishnu. Materialists should understand that the goddess of fortune should be worshipped along with Lord Vishnu and should not be regarded separately. And therefore this point is coming out from this manifestation of Pṛthu and Archie together from this special churning. And then it is furthermore forecasted that of the two, the male will be able to expand his reputation throughout the world, and his name will be Pṛthu. Indeed, he will be the first among kings. Now, in the fourth purport, Prabhupada gives us an understanding of the different types of incarnations of the Supreme Lord. And there are some fascinating statements there in that purport, which I myself have never heard before. Prabhupada is writing, in the Shastras, it is said that Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva and Ananta are all very powerful incarnations of the Brahman feature of the Lord. This is an astounding statement. Similarly, Shachipati or Indra, the king of heaven, is an incarnation of the lusty feature of the Lord. Aniruddha is an incarnation of the Lord's mind. Similarly, King Pṛthu is an incarnation of the ruling force of the Lord. Thus, the saintly persons and great sages predicted the future activities of King Pṛthu, who was already explained as a partial incarnation of a plenary expansion of the Lord. So the position of Pṛthu has been understood to be in two ways. One is as a Shaktiavesh avatar, that he is an incarnation of the ruling force of the Lord, or he is endowed with the ruling potency. And the second is that he is also a partial incarnation of the plenary expansion of the Lord. And Prabhupada here is just giving examples of other personalities who are similarly invested with other kind of potencies of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, they can also be referred to as Shaktiavesh avatars. And the quality of Archie is described next, that the female has such beautiful teeth and beautiful qualities that she will actually beautify the ornaments she wears. So the phrase here is Guna Bhushana Bhushana. Her name will be Archie. In the future, she will accept King Pṛthu as her husband. Prabhupada talks about this whole Shaktiavesh avatar and distinguishing a Shaktiavesh avatar from Shakti Tattva in verse number 6 purport, that in the form of King Pṛthu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared through a part of his potency to protect the people of the Lord, protect the people of the world. So this is his sort of major role that he's going to play. We're going to see how much Pṛthu Maharaj is setting an example of being the greatest protector for the citizens that he's ruling over. The goddess of fortune is the constant companion of the Lord, and therefore she has incarnated partially as Archie to become King Pṛthu's queen. So in other words, just like King Pṛthu is a partial incarnation of the Supreme Lord, likewise, Archie is a partial incarnation of goddess of fortune. Likewise, just as King Pṛthu is considered to be a Shaktiavesh avatar of Lord Vishnu, Archie is considered to be a Shaktiavesh avatar of Lakshmi. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that whenever one sees an extraordinary power, he should conclude that a specific partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present. This is coming from the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Yad yad vibhutimat sattvam. There are innumerable such personalities, but not all of them are direct Vishnu Tattva plenary expansions of the Lord. So this is a very important statement. So Pṛthu Maharaj is not considered to be necessarily in the Vishnu Tattva category. Many living entities are classified among the Shakti Tattvas. Such incarnations, empowered for specific purposes, are known as Shaktyavesh avatars. King Pṛthu was such a Shaktyavesh avatar of the Lord. Similarly, Archie, King Prithu's wife, was a Shaktyavesh avatar of the goddess of fortune. So, in this way, it is important for us to understand the exact position of these personalities. And then it is described how Lord Brahma appeared in that scene, how the different um, singers of the celestial realm coming from Gandharva Loka, they were also chanting the glories of Maharaj Prithu and his eternal consort, Archi. The inhabitants of the Siddhalok, they were showering flowers. And then the beautiful women from the heavenly planets, they danced in ecstasy. Conch shells, bugles, drums, kettle drums, they were vibrating in the outer space. Great sages, forefathers, personalities from heavenly planets, they all came to Earth from various planetary systems. So when Lord Brahma appeared, he noted the signs of um, Lord Vishnu in King Prithu. So the lines of Lord Vishnu's palm on King Prithu's right hand and the impressions of lotus flowers on the soles of his feet. These are some symptoms by which we can understand how King Prithu was a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, in the 9 to 10 verses purport, Prabhupada is writing that there is a system by which one can detect an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nowadays, it has become a cheap fashion to accept any rascal as an incarnation of God. But from this incident, we can see that Lord Brahma personally examined the hands and feet of King Prithu for specific signs. In their prophecies, the learned sages and Brahmanas accepted Prithu Maharaj as a plenary partial expansion of the Lord. This is an interesting statement because plenary generally means full, you know. And so the statement is reading as plenary partial expansion of the Lord, which means in terms of the partial expansion, he was full, or in other words, he was exhibiting the full characteristics of the partial expansion of the Lord. During the presence of Lord Krishna, however, a king declared himself Vasudev, and Lord Krishna killed him. Before accepting someone as an incarnation of God, one should verify his identity according to the symptoms mentioned in the Shastras. Without these symptoms, the pretender is subject to be killed by the authorities for pretending to be an incarnation of God. And that's what happened to King Vena just before King Prithu was born. So after that, we are going to see how the learned Brahmanas, they are going to prepare themselves for coronating King Prithu as the king. And we will then learn about the activities and the pastimes of Maharaj Pṛthu. Thank you very much.